Right, guys, welcome back to episode 5 of DM Podcast. As you may see, we have got Mark. He is back in action from his holiday. He was burned. He's kind of cooled back down to the old UK weather. So, yeah, Mark's back. Obviously, Mick's back. He hasn't gone anywhere. And today, as per usual, we talk about previous news regarding cars, taxiing, and general chit-chat, really. Sometimes we just chat bubbles for a good half an hour, 45 minutes. Maybe an hour, who knows, just see what happens. So, yeah, obviously, Mark's back. And we just recently, last week, had our first special guest. It was Steve Turkey Teeth from TikTok. So if you've got any other ideas of who you might want to see as a special guest, do me a favour. Just go and comment on their TikTok or their YouTube and go, message driver Matty, get on his podcast. I'd love to see you, or whatever. And go and approach people that you might want to get them on the podcast. And if people can message me and they're interested, I might get them on then. Do you know what I mean? Don't guarantee, but let's just start off with anyway. Mark, what have you been up to today, mate?
Early, down to Heathrow, just one job. About 8 or 9 hour round trip. Traffic were heavy. Oh, it really?
Yeah. How's your holiday?
Lovely, too hot. But I'm not glad to be back, though. I'm not glad to be back. Holiday blues, big time.
Right, yo. Mick, how about yourself? What have you had today, mate? I seen you at the airport before we had the Costa, didn't we?
We did indeed. I had it, what was it? 6:30, I think. 6:30 takeout. And then I done had the Costa and that with you, and then shot back for 10:30. Bring back to the airport. Got home about 12:30, and just chilled about for a bit, and I'm back out tonight. Got a 11:15 land, 3:15 land, and then 11 o'clock in the morning, and then 3:30 at night, afternoon. So yeah, do the podcast, do this, and then we have some tea and get my head down. Let's go and get me 11:15.
That's minging,
Mick. August is hit, mate. Strong. I'm not like Luke. I'm a lazy bugger, as I always say. Get it out the way.
Yeah, I went out this morning. It was actually a nice one. It was a bus job out to Matty. Waited about an hour and a half. Had a coffee with yourself, Mick, and then had a Matty back to Liverpool. So nice little back-to-back in the morning. Shot home. Took my daughter to the skate park to go on a scooter for a bit. Enjoyed the nice weather before I come and seen you two pair of ugly, beautiful people to do the podcast. So now we're back in action. The trio is back, the Three Musketeers. Before we start the podcast, just obviously do us a favour, make sure you check it out on YouTube, TikTok, and you can now listen on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, whatever they're called, all them podcast streaming devices, you can go on them. So, first big news, very, very big news. One of the lads I know got a letter from the HMRC, and he did not declare that he was an Uber driver. He'd been an Uber driver for years, and he thought because his profit was under the 12 grand allowance, he didn't have to declare. Little bit of innocent, being naive. He really didn't realise. But what the interesting fact is, though, is the HMRC sent him a letter and said, technically, we know that you're earning from driving, including tips. So Uber is literally sending everything over to HMRC. Now, we know it was meant to start this year, January 2024, for new drivers, and old drivers, January 2025. But I spoke to my accountant, and he actually said there's a few people that's been spotted with Uber drivers been spotted years ago. So I think Uber, from the start, has been declaring our earnings in the HMRC. Now, obviously, there's a lot of people, so I don't know. What do you reckon of that, Mark?
So they've been letting them know a lot earlier than what being told. Is that right? Is that what's being said?
So now it's been more or less been confirmed that the Uber has been informing HMRC from more or less the start on how much we're all earning. So if you're a bit of a dodgy dealer or you haven't declared in all of it, or you've been blagging it a bit, he might actually, they might know now.
Yeah, but thing is, right, in the taxi trade over the years, when it comes to cash, people tend to hide it, don't they? But if it's going through like Uber, even if they wasn't declaring it to HMRC, you're a bit of an idiot not to declare it because it's a paper trail. So it's
Goes straight into your bank, doesn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Be honest, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah. It's going to catch out a lot of drivers, though, because you think about it. I actually know drivers personally there was the drivers that used to do the cash and just be on full-time benefits, paying the car cash and everything else back in the day. But there's so many drivers, and I think this public news, it's going to scare a lot of people and maybe out the trade. I don't know. What do you reckon, Mick?
I find it hard to believe because when I signed on for Uber, it was the hot topic. Everyone asked the question. Nearly enough everyone I knew when we were in the induction for Uber, because when you signed on, you used to have a proper induction. I don't know whether they're still doing that Uber, but you'd have to like sit in the classroom and show you how the system worked, to tell you this, to tell you that. You could answer questions, and in my induction, at least 5 to 10 drivers in a room of 15 to 20 was asking the question, and Uber said they didn't declare it. So if that is the case, I'm pretty sure, as much as you've any lads that haven't declared it or whatever, because we know it goes on, even HMRC knows it goes on, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who haven't, I'm sure they'd have a case against that because they were told they didn't. So I'm pretty sure Uber wouldn't have said, put all this false information out and declared it, do you know what I mean? How your accountants had these letters off other drivers, I don't know. It could be down to something that them drivers individually have done something wrong to be caught and had that letter. Do you know what I mean? I find it hard to believe that Uber's been doing it. And obviously we know now they've come out and they've said, yeah, from blah, blah, from January, isn't it?
Now, yeah.
From January, they've come out and said that, yeah, we are. Do you know what I mean? So I don't see how they'd backtrack and come out and say, I don't know how they'd have to come out and say, yeah, we are now, if there was anyway. Do you know what I mean? It makes no sense to me. I find it hard to believe. Go on.
The only other option is the tax check code. If it's not Uber themselves, but the tax check code, the drive that I'm on about, he had to submit that tax check code and he renewed his badge 18 months ago. So it could have been maybe that, as then made the HMRC go to maybe Uber and go, hey, do you know this driver here? Has he been working for you? Or whatever. Maybe, and that's how they found out that way. Like the workaround through the tax check code.
Yeah, because between now and January gone, for businesses to submit their books, they wouldn't have to do that till April next year. Do you know what I mean? So Uber wouldn't have sent anything to an HMRC anyway. So I think it is down to he's had that letter because he's renewed his badge, he's get the tax code in, and then he's had the tax code and it's flagged up on HMRC's systems.
Yeah, it could be that, couldn't it?
I think it's down to that why he's had his letter, but previous letters why they've been given, that's got to be down to the individual drivers. I think they've done something wrong and along the system, and that's why they've been. HMRC might have even had a tip off for them drivers or whatever that have had the letters sent who your accountant's been dealing with. Do you know what I mean?
Well, to be honest,
I just find it hard to believe it's come from Uber. Right now, obviously, come next year, after April next year, then you can say Uber. It's the reason you're getting these letters is because of Uber. I think it's just a little bit too soon at the minute for people to be getting them letters now because of Uber. To blame Uber is a little bit of a thingy. Maybe next year, If it was this time next year and they had that letter, we could all say, it's because of Uber. Do you know what I mean? this, 5 months on, takes a lot longer than that, mate. They might have even been investigating this driver for however long or whatever. Could be anything, do you know
But
what I mean?
when it goes into your bank account, it's labelled Uber on your flipping bank statements in it. So if they're looking at a personal person and go, right, why isn't he declaring any income? How is he surviving? Let's just have a little look into his bank account. Uber. Approaches
Yeah.
Uber and go, do you know this guy here? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, go back to the driver. Maybe it's gone, back to front and how they got him. What do you reckon, Mark?
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with Mick. He asked that bloke must have been investigated for other reasons. I don't personally think Uber have declared it. Unless, how long has he been on Uber?
7 years.
Oh, there you go. It probably is something to do with that taxi, because I've just renewed my badge now. It runs out in a couple of weeks, so that's going through the process. But it could be that, it could be the tax code. You generally don't know. You don't know.
Did Sheffield have to do the tax code thing as well now? When you're so it's a UK law then, isn't it?
It's countrywide, yeah.
That came in a couple of years. But I did a 2-year one before, so it's probably been about in Sheffield about 2 years now.
It is. I spoke to my accountant over this, and he said, it come in 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And if you work an Uber or whatever, and you're not registered self-employed, you do know now. You just can't get away with it no more. And when this tax digital comes in 2026, everyone has to report and grass on everything. Every online payment is all tracked. You're not even going to get away with cash work. You do cash work, there'll be some type of online receipt that a customer's paid into somewhere. It's gone from there. You're just not going to get away with it. From April 2026, when tax goes digital, the accountant said you will not get away with anything. Because if you get diesel and you pay with your cash, they have to declare that car with that reg paid cash for that diesel went on the system online. You just can't get away with it. You can't even blag it, do you know what I mean? So in a year or two, it's going to be no way of hiding, really, isn't it?
Now's the time to sort yourself out. If you're not legit, get legit, basically.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, look at this VAT thing with going on with Uber and Delta won in court and blah blah blah. There was talks of are Uber going to backtrack and thing either ways now. That would mean Uber would stop, because they've done this big VAT thing and tried to get other companies to do the same as what Uber's doing with charge VAT, blah, 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 and all that. There was talks about Uber backtracking and not thinking because Delta have won their thing. But I think they're too far in now to backtrack that, I think, personally.
Yeah.
And this is another, if they were going to backtrack that, they can backtrack the HMRC recordings or declaring the earnings to drivers and things like that. Uber don't want to do that.
Yeah.
100. Why do? Because it's just a scaremonger to a drivers. It puts drivers off. It's half of the reason why most of the people are still probably sitting on Alpha and Deltas. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But come a year's time, they'll probably go after the local big companies like the likes of Delta and Alpha as well, because they'll want to know earnings. Do you know what I mean? You trying to tell me that you if you're working on Alpha and Delta, that you're not in the same boat as an Uber driver? Taxman only has to walk in their office and go, right, there's a declaration for us to see this driver's earnings. And Alpha and Delta have got the same systems, so it's all recorded. Do you know what I mean? So,
but you've both got your own firm. You both taxi firms, ain't you? Your own airport firms, yeah. You know that do you have to declare to HMRC what you give out?
As in for a company?
I know. Say for example, you've got you so you take in jobs and you distribute them out to drivers, don't you?
Yeah.
Right. So do you have to, because you're taking in the work, you're giving work out to people? Do you have to declare to HMRC at the end with you on your accounts? Do you have to declare, right, this money's gone out to that them drivers? Basically, grassing on drivers.
No, we don't have to.
That
No.
That's where Delta won the case.
Oh, right, okay.
So when that appeal where Delta come back and won that case,
Yeah.
that's what they stopped by winning that. If they
Right.
didn't win the appeal, all operators had to report to all drivers. But I'm pretty sure what my accountant's saying, when the tax goes digital in 2026, you're going to have to report everything all declared, all your paper trails, everything's all going to be recorded. They want to know everything when it comes to tax digital. So more than likely in April 2026, you're going to have to report like everything. All it's going to be dead deep and involved. Do you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's got to be a trail anyway, because I contact DM Travel and say, right, I want you to take me to Heathrow. You say this is how much it's going to be. You take a cut of that, so you've got to declare that as a company, haven't you? You've got to declare that, haven't you?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Say if you charge £500, you're taking, I don't know, say 50%, and you'll take 250 quid out of that. You have to declare the 250 or just declare the 500.
So why I'm different? Why I'm different to the likes of operators like Mick is technically DM Airport Transfers. I've got an ops license, but DM Airport Transfers hasn't. DM Airport Transfers is like a online booking website, and that's the only reason why I can only give jobs to operators. So I'm like I'm technically booking.com for hotels, but for drivers, right, for companies. So that's the way I was able to get away from that. So even if the law comes in where you have to then disclose the drivers under your ops license for earnings and stuff and everything else, I don't have to. So we normally say, if I take £100 off a customer and give you 90, yeah, I've got to declare 100 quid income and a 90 quid expense, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I can get VAT hit with the 80 grand top line. Where for me, it's not, because what happens is they're paying me a finder's fee of 10%. Yeah. So they're paying me a tenner for me to introduce you to an operator. And then the contract is between the passenger and the operator that I put you to. Do you know what I mean? So I only have to declare the £10 as an income.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the way I was able to do it, by going down the route of like a marketing business, like a booking website, instead of like an operator, like a company like Mick's. So Mick would have to take the full 100, have £100 income, £90 an expense to a driver, but he still took 100 quid in top line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wanted to try and pull away from that when I was setting the up, just to keep it a bit more simple. Do you know what I mean? What about that, Mick? Do you agree with that? Like,
yeah, that's basically what I was just going to come in and say. The way our account is right now, as it is, unless it changes, then this is the way we deal with it. And my accountant comes to me every April, and I just give him my bank statements, and he goes through them and goes, right, okay, you've got this much come in, you've spent that much, and this is your profit. That's what you're taxed on. Yeah. That's pretty much how they do it right now. Obviously, if it changes down the lines, we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it and whatnot. Do you know what I mean? But that's pretty much how accounts work. You've had this much come in, you've spent that much out. What's the difference? That's your tax. You get taxed 20% on that, 25% on that. Do you know what I mean?
You pay, that's what I'm trying to say. So when you pay a driver, that's a business expense, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a business expense, yeah.
Yeah. So you bring in 20 grand, you give 18 grand out to drivers. Your company income profit is 2 grand, isn't it?
Yeah, and then we're taxed on the profit.
Yeah. I get you. Yeah. So, like I said, it's HMRC and all that. It's a complicated thing. Some of the scams years ago, like I was getting my car valeted a few years ago now, 5-6 years ago, before it all got dead thingy, before even Uber was going crazy. And it was a Delta driver, and it was some silent fella, like, and he was on Universal Credit, and he paid a settle car cash, he paid a commission cash, and he paid his insurance and all. Because a settle car cash, everything was cash, and then he would only do cash work, but he was on full benefits. You can't get away with that no more, can you?
No, definitely not. And it's only going to get worse as you go along as well. Do you know what I mean?
I don't reckon. I reckon. Obviously, I'm not saying that we do or don't, but obviously, I know cash is a lot harder to track. But I reckon next year or so, I reckon all cash will have to get declared as well. Because me accountant said as well, it's like there's a fuel ratio that they look into. Because don't forget, though, anyone can blag the tax man. Yeah, but it's the whole point of blagging it enough where you don't get investigated. And they have like spot, they have like a blanket rules. And if you're not within these rules, then you're more focused, then you can get good chance of getting investigated. And they have a fuel to earnings ratio. I can't remember the ratio. I don't know if it's like 5 times or 7 times the amount of fuel or something like that anyway. So if you spend 100 quid in fuel, it results in a set amount of earnings. And then they look into that like a scope. And as long as you're in that scope, you're kind of under the radar a bit. So there's loads of little things. So if you're blagging the cash, but you're not blagging your fuel, then they're going, hold on a minute, he spent £1,000 in fuel, but only earned 5 ton. What's going on there? Boom, we're going to look into him. So, like, there's loads of little rules that we don't even know of that they just flag up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's always been a thing, the ratio. I think it used to work out as every £100 you use 25. So it was like 25%, 20%. That was back a few years ago now.
Of your earnings. Yeah.
Yeah, so every £20, every £100 you earned. So every £20 diesel you earned 100 quid. That's what it used. What it used to be. Do you know what I mean? So if you spent £100 on diesel, they'd expect your income to be £1,000.
Yeah. What are you going to say, Matt?
I don't know how they're going to do mine, because I do anything between 1,500 and 3,000 miles a week.
Yeah, but what I mean is, hey, for your mileage or your diesel usage in your make will be relative to your earnings. Do you know what I mean? You're not going to do 500 quid in diesel and then 1 week do £1,000 and next week do 500 quid earnings, are you? It's going to be like a correlation between your earnings and your diesel. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But if that's off, then it flags up. Then do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But even all that's not going to be detectable soon. I reckon you just can't get away with nothing these days. You know what I mean?
No, but it's definitely shot up the ratio as well. I think it's around 30, 35 now.
Because the price of fuel as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because of the price of fuel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One thing I did want to bring up, and it was a bit of a crap one, really. I don't really want to focus on the tragedy or the craziness that's happening in the UK with the riots and stuff and religion. Don't want to bring all up. Just a can of worms in it. But what I want to focus a bit more on is, I don't know if you're aware, there was a couple of kids, 3 kids killed in Southport by a knife attacker. But the thing that's not really in the news is it was a taxi driver that dropped them off. Now, the thing that makes it quite bad is the taxi driver dropped them off to that terrible tragedy. So the taxi driver's suffering a lot with obviously what he's thinking of, like, what ifs, you know what I mean? What he could have done, whatever. And then on the top of that, the busies have impounded his car for evidence. And obviously he's a taxi driver, so now he's off the road completely. And One Call Taxis, which is a Merseyside company, they're raising some money for him in the offices. So if you're passing by, throw a little bit of money in for the driver. It will definitely help support him to get through this. But what I wanted to go to Mark first, because obviously you're not from Liverpool, you're from Sheffield.
Yeah.
Can you even comprehend of what the driver's going through, or what, how bad did that be?
Now I couldn't imagine. There was something similar 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago? 3 years ago? Tragedy in Sheffield where that made national headlines. It were in a village called Kilmarsh in Sheffield, and a man killed his girlfriend, her 2 kids, and a friend that was stopping over. I think they were about 11, 12, 13, I can't think. And a taxi driver actually picked him up and took him somewhere and then dropped him back off. And he was the one that alerted the police because he was covered in blood. So I don't know what happened to that driver, but well, I do know it's been all over the forum when it were happening. Insane. He struggled. He struggled. So because they must have been pounding his car as well. But they actually they got the bloke. It was him that actually notified the police. So it's very, very similar. But now I don't know how I would feel. I don't think anyone would be able to understand how you feel like that. The guilt. He probably had guilt. I don't know.
Yeah.
It must be bad.
Yeah, I've heard it. Heavy guilt. Heavy guilt. Even though I want to get this out now, nothing to do with it when he was just dropping off another fare. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
he would never have known. Never have known.
That's doing his job. You don't know who you're carrying about. Do you know what I mean? What do you reckon, Mick? Obviously, no swearing.
It's rough, isn't it? I mean, it's like going back to that one. Remember outside the women's hospital with the terrorist in the back of his car?
Yeah.
What he went through. It's the same. It's pretty much close, same principle, isn't it? Like you said, the what ifs. What must be going through his head? I wonder if I'd have done this, or if for all he knows, he might have been talking about, look, I might have to drop you down here. You don't know what conversation was going on in the car or anything, and he could be thinking, I wonder if I would have dropped him there, would it have happened? And you just couldn't put yourself in, and it comes down to the job we're in as well. It's people think it's easy being a taxi driver, but you find yourself in a situation like that, it could mess with your mental level massively as well. Do you know what I mean? Paul had he's had his car took off him now as well, impounded. I seen the message go off at one call. It was doing the rounds on the groups, wasn't it? And they're talking about that he has to even pay to get his car back. So he's off the road. He's losing this income. God knows how long they're going to keep it for. Because like you say, sometimes it's a couple of weeks. I can imagine that to be there for months, for all we know, until the court case is over. Until the case is all done and dusted with, because they might have to refer back to that for whatever happens in court. And then for him to think that he's got all this missing income, and then thinking that he's got a bill to pay as soon as he can get it as well, which is, I feel, is a bit crazy. I think he'd be able to fight that. He shouldn't. He hasn't committed any crimes. He hasn't done anything, so he should be able to get his car back with free of charge. It's not his fault. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, they should have given him a choice.
He's got to pay to have his car back.
Apparently so. That's what the message went out. Yeah, that he has to pay the impound fees. I think it's a bit far fetched. Like, can he be able to fight it if that's what they're saying to him?
Well, I can't see that being true.
I can't.
It could be a miscommunication of thingies, but he's still off the road anyway, regardless. And what he's going through, he definitely deserves a pot in the office for him. Do you know what I mean? No matter what, because at the end of the day, his car's been took. I'm pretty sure one call are looking after him as well, but yeah, I've been past one call and put my donation in already anyway. Wish they can tell the office to pass a message on and blah blah, but yeah, he's you can imagine what's going through your head.
Couldn't even imagine, mate. Couldn't even imagine. I wanted to touch on that because a lot of people might not be aware. A few years ago, a taxi driver picked up a lad it was South Liverpool, wasn't it? And he got a taxi to the Liverpool Women's Hospital. And as he was driving up, there's a few stories where the driver locked him in the back and all this. A bit of hero story. That was just obviously, as per usual, internet going mad. The driver actually come out and said he didn't say nothing, didn't do nothing. He just pulled up outside the women's hospital, and then the passenger blew up. It was a suicide bomber, but the actual bomb didn't completely blow up. It was only part of it, so it wasn't like the main explosive. It was just all the shrapnel went off, and the driver survived because he was behind him, and all the shrapnel clipped him and all that, but mainly went into the seat. So the driver survived. It was same again. Absolutely, it caused loads of damage to the hospital, and it could have been so much worse. And same again, flipping taxi driver using in crimes like that is just unreal, mate. And the amount of times you hear people are like, you finish your shift and you find a knife on the seat or a knife in the footwell or drugs or whatever. It's really bad. And it feels like it's getting a bit worse as well, really. It's either getting worse or the stories circulate easier because of social media.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
What about that? What about that? Couple of weeks back, of that can't think where it was now. When he got a taxi to that bridge and he got out with a suitcase with 2 dead bodies in it.
Hey, where was this?
Now I can't think where the area was. It was about a month ago, 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago. He got out and he had a suitcase with 2 elderly gentlemen in them, 60 and 70-year-olds, dead.
Really?
What, the taxi driver or the passenger?
I'm pretty sure a taxi driver dropped him off.
No,
I might have got that wrong. I'm 95% sure. I can't think what bridge.
Have a little Google of that in a bit. That's heavy, that, if that's true.
I can't think what bridge it was. It was a famous bridge. So, because I've heard of it before. The bridge.
Yeah. Bit of a mad one, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, another big news. So I know Wolverhampton comes up. I get a lot of people say to me, you always have a go at Wolverhampton and all that. This is actually a positive Wolverhampton. All right. So calm down, Wolverhampton drivers. All right, it's positive. So as of the 1st of August, Wolverhampton come out and change the rules on how they do things. They've recently come out, and the article's on Taxi Point. I done a video on it yesterday. And they've actually come out and said that the reason he got rid of the magnets and the stickers, the library, off the sides, as in the company you work for, is 2 reasons: public safety and vandalism issues. So with the public safety, what they're saying is really anyone can get a magnet and stick it on the side of your car and pretend to be a taxi driver. So if you're coming out of a club 2 o'clock in the morning, bladdered, and then some fella goes, yeah, mate, look, I'm an Uber. Come on, mate, I'll take you home, 20 quid. But then that guy could be a bad guy. He's not licensed, no DBS, and nothing like that. Where what Wolverhampton's saying, if there's no magnets at all, and we were all then just judging on the reg and the plate and the pre-book details, then maybe that'll stop. Because you're not going to get in a car with no magnets on, are you? And go taxi and fall in it. You're going to go, whoa, hold on a minute. Let me have a look at the back or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Mm-hmm. But I'll start off with you, Mick. Do you reckon it's a public safety thing or not, that you've got no mags? You know what I mean?
We touched on it when they announced it, didn't we? We were saying, you'll probably be renowned to check the details and things like that. So, yeah, I think it is kind of a thing. But I also think Wolverhampton Council now are just looking for things to defend themselves with, why they've done it. Do you know what I mean? Why didn't they come out in the first place and say, right, we've done this because of this or whatever? They must have had some backlash for now to come out and say why they've done it. Do you know what I mean? So they must have, there's got to be a reason. Yeah, I believe it's probably true what they're saying. It is a public safety, do you know what I mean? But I think you've got more... What are we all now in danger? Are we endangering the public wearing signs on the side of our cars after all these years and blah, blah, blah?
That's a point.
Do you know what I mean? And is that what they're trying to say? That every other council's now risking passengers getting in wrong cars and things like that? Because at the end of the day, it's been like this for years. Those signs have been on the side of cars for years and years. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just trying to kind of a scapegoat. They've had some backlash of why they've done it and blah, blah, blah. And now they're coming out and trying to defend the reasons why they've done it. Do you know what I mean? I think every council should follow suit, really, because I'm a driver and it's less hassle for us to wear those signs, as we've already covered. Do you know what I mean? But there's definitely a reason why they're coming out and saying what they're saying. Is only got to be down to the backlash, because like I say, are they going to turn around and say that every other council should do it now, or what? Who knows? Time will tell.
And Mark, you said before as well, didn't you? Because I brought up the magnets, and you said
Yeah.
something about
There's something, obviously, with all the unrest within all the cities now, with this Southport thing about all these riots and that lot, that there's a big thing in Sheffield now that they're asking, especially the Muslim drivers, are asking now that they're being targeted because of the taxis. Their cars are getting attacked. They're physically getting attacked. So they've asked the council if they can take the magnets off. Obviously, they've got the badges on the back that tells that they're taxis, but you've got magnets down the side, stick out, because they knows that taxis have magnets on the side, haven't they? So and they've asked to whether if they will or not. Knowing this council, they probably won't. They'll probably just shove two fingers up to them and that lot. Probably, I thought.
You know what? Though? I seen a clip the other day, Mark, and it was on TikTok or something like that, and there was cars going through, and he literally, honest to God, he literally left one car, attacked a taxi with I think it was like a foreign driver, and then when he drove through, they left another car. So that just proves your point that they were targeting maybe Muslim drivers or whatever, because obviously what's going on and whatever. And I know for a fact I've seen on through the Facebook groups in Liverpool, Hackney got the windows popped, and I've seen 2 Uber drivers getting the windows popped. I don't know the nationality, where they're from, or the background of the drivers, but definitely taxis and private hires have been getting focused a bit more when it comes to this riots and stuff like that. Have you seen anything yourself, Mick, about like cars getting damaged around yours or anything like that?
No. Only what it's like, not round here. No, the only ones I've seen is through like TikTok. Obviously, seeing all the stuff that was going off on County Road and down a couple of clips and things like that. But not personally. I've only seen stuff through social media. Do you know what I mean? I haven't run into anything where I've seen a car on fire or rioters looting shops or anything. I haven't seen anything personal. It's only through social media what I've noticed things.
Yeah, but to be honest, I do agree with if Sheffield Council's actually come out and said this, I do agree with the fact that, especially at this current time, I think the likes of the Muslim drivers or the foreign drivers could be getting an extra backlash because of what's going on with like whatever illegals and all them. I'm not going too much into it because, like, to be honest, with social media, it's so manipulative. You see there's a 1-minute video and then the 10 seconds shared with like focused on whatever, and you never, unless I'm stood there right now, I don't know what's truly going on, and a lot of people watching don't know what's truly going on, but they're jumping on the things, you know what I mean? And from all kinds, I just don't know what's going on because I weren't there and I'm not there. So I always try and stay a little bit back from all that. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think myself personally, though, I think you are right, though. There's definitely taxi drivers getting focused and stuff like that. Like, so, yeah, it's a mad one, isn't it?
I don't think that's a thing that they're not going to come out and say, okay, all council's not going to come out and say, okay, yeah, all Muslim drivers don't have to wear the thingies.
No, I think it's all drivers.
You know what I mean?
All taxis.
Yeah, possibly, but that's probably in the pipeline anyway for everyone, isn't it? After Wolverhampton just doing it, it's not over. I don't think they're going to turn around and do it because of this. You know what I mean?
Wolverhampton have got their ruling that they don't have to have door signage. I think councils will follow suit. I think it will happen, especially now everything's app based. When you pull up to someone's house, they know who you are, what shoes you got, and what clothes you're wearing. They all know now. They don't know, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's out there, isn't it? It's out there, people. So I've actually, when you pull up out someone's house, "Hey, Mark, how you doing?" I'm like, "Do I know you?" "Oh yeah, got the information." They know anyway. So I think eventually they will follow suit.
Yeah. Coolio. Is there anything else you want to bring up today? Because what we're hitting the 40-minute mark. So we can crack on. Or are you happy with what we've covered today? Have you got anything to add, Mark?
Now,
No.
need to go and cut my grass.
Well, let's cut it short for Mark's grass. How about yourself, Mick? Got anything to add? Anything, mate? So you're all good?
No, all good.
Happy days, happy days. Do us a favour, guys. Let me know in the comments if you want any other type of special guests that you want on the podcast for the special episode. I've got a few ideas in my mind. We're going to, no spoilers. I'm going to reach out to them as well. And as per usual, thanks very much for watching, listening. And thanks to Mick and Mark. And thanks to Mark being back in action for the terrible trio. But yeah, thanks very much, guys. Do us a favour, guys. Stick around for make sure it's all uploaded. Because Steve Turkey Teeth did not. And I had a right nightmare trying to sort his podcast out. Thanks very much, guys. And I'll see you all soon.
Yeah.